Hi everyone, in this video we're going to be talking about how to find the median of a data set. So how do I calculate the median of a data set? Once again, I'm going to use the paired decks I sent last week. If you already went through these, that's okay. You can listen to this video again and then complete assignment number 3. If you did not, I'm showing you this so you can see what the paired decks look like. Okay, the first one, you were supposed to drag the icon over to C and tell me what your stress level was about this new type of learning. Hopefully it is good for everyone. Alright, so for today's lesson we will introduce median, practice solving for median, and then work on an exit slip together before you independently work on assignment number 3. Okay, what is the median? Another way of thinking about the median of a data set is the middle term. How do I calculate the median? There are 3 steps. Step number 1 is you order the numbers in the data set from smallest to biggest. Number 2, you cross off the numbers on each end of the data set until you have one number left. That would be your middle number. In some cases, you will have to move on to step number 3, not in all cases. If you have 2 numbers left in the middle, you have to add both the numbers together and divide your answer by 2. This final step only applies to some data sets, not all of them. We will see examples of both. So if we look at this example, our data set is in green. We have 4, 6, 2, 2, and 1. Our first step says we need to order the numbers from smallest to biggest. I put them in order from you, 1, 2, 2, 4, 6. What I also like to do is recount 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We both have the same number in our ordered data set. That's just a double check to make sure we did not miss any data sets. If you have 2 numbers listed, you also have to list them down here. Step number 2 says you have to cross off the numbers on each end until you are left with one middle term. We would cross off number 1, we would cross off number 6, then we would move in. We would cross off number 4, and then we would cross off number 2, leaving us with one middle number, meaning our median for this data set is 2. Okay, so once again, to review our steps, you first place them in order from smallest to biggest. You cross off at each end until you are with a middle number. For this example, we only had one middle number, so we did not need to move on to step number 3. Let's look at our next example. Here is our data set. Our steps are still on the side to refer to. We have 3, 5, 2, 8, and 2. Our first step is we need to order the numbers from smallest to biggest. So I place them in order, 2, 3, 5, 8. Once again, I'm double checking, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. I made sure that I copied the exact number of points in our data set. Step number 2 is we cross off the numbers on each end. We crossed off 2, we crossed off 8, except this time we are left with 2 middle numbers, 3 and 5. That means we need to move on to step number 3. If there are 2 middle numbers, we have to add those numbers together and divide the sum by 2. So we add our middle numbers, 3 plus 5, which equals 8. We take 8 and divide by 2, which gives us our final answer, which is our median equals 4. Okay, so this one was a little different. We were left with 2 numbers at the end, which just means we had an additional step of adding them together and dividing that number by 2, which gave us our answer of 4. Okay, I included this YouTube clip in our optional videos if you would like to watch more explanation on how to find the median. Okay, once again, just as a reminder, remote learning, you are working at your own pace. So if there's any point you want to stop, go to the bathroom, just pause the videos. You could replay them again at any point. If you need a stretch break, you are able to do that during remote learning. Okay. To find the median, okay, we are going to clear everything. We are given a data set. We have 3, 2, 2, 5, 7. Our first step says we need to put the numbers in order from smallest to biggest. So we look for our smallest number, which is 2. After we write it here, I like to cross it off so I know not to use it again. Our next smallest number is 2. Need to make sure we have to put both 2's in there. The next smallest number is 3. Cross it off. The next smallest number is 5. And the next and final smallest number, or biggest number in this data set, is 7. Okay, once we put them in order from smallest to biggest, our second step is we need to cross off until we find a middle term. So we start at the ends, we cross off 1 here, we cross off 1 here, then we move again, cross off the next 2, and we are left with 1 middle number. If we are left with 1 middle number, we do not have any additional steps. We just write down that our median is 3. So once again, we put the numbers in order, we crossed off at each end, and we found the middle number, which is 3, our median. All right, our next example, okay, here's our data set right here, okay? The first step is we need to put them in order from smallest to biggest. So looking at our data set, our smallest number is 0. Our next smallest number is 1. Our next smallest number is 1. Our next smallest number is 3. Our next smallest number is 4. Our next smallest number is 19. And our next smallest number is 24. Okay, once we have them in order, we are crossing them off at either end. We start at our end, 0, 24, then we cross off 1, 19, then we cross 1 and 4, and we are left with 1 middle number. If we are left with 1 middle number, there's no additional steps that we need to take. That becomes our final answer of 3. All right, let's look at our next example. We're going to follow the same format. Step number 1 is we need to put the numbers in order from smallest to biggest. Looking at our data set, we have 0, 5. And once again, you could copy these problems on a separate sheet of paper if you are unable to open your Pear Deck. 5. The final number of our data set is 10. Okay, we need to cross off on each end. Cross off at the end. You might notice we have 2 middle numbers. Okay, so because we have 2 middle numbers, we need to do an additional step, which is step 3. If you have 2 middle numbers, you add those 2 numbers together and divide by 2. So we first have to add those 2 numbers, 5 plus 5, and 5 plus 5 gives us 10. And we take 10 and divide that by 2, which should give us our final median, which is 10 divided by 2, or our answer is 5. Okay, So once again, this example was a little different. We ended up having two middle numbers, so we had to do an additional step where we added those two middle numbers together. We then divided the sum of that, which was 10, divided by 2, which gave us our final answer of 5. Okay. Let's take a look at this example. It says, students in Miss Curran's class calculated the mean of a data set and got the following scores. Who calculated it correctly? Here are all the students in Miss Curran's hypothetical class. Here's the data set, and here are their answers. So we're going to double check their work. Remember, the first thing we need to do is put them in order from smallest to biggest. You could do this on a separate sheet of paper if you want. I'm going to do it on the Pear Deck so you can see. So the smallest number is 2. Then comes 3. Then comes 5. Then comes 6. And finally, number 7 is the largest number in our data set. Step number 2 is we cross off at each end. 2, 7, then 3, and 5. And our median is 5. So this girl right here got the answer correctly. I'm hoping this is starting to make a little more sense as we go through. Once again, at any point you could pause and replay the videos if needed. Alright, once again we're given a different data set. So we first need to put them in order. 3, 3, 5, and 6. Okay, we then have to cross off to find the middle number. Cross off at each end. For this example, you might notice we have two middle numbers, so we have to move on to our third step. Our third step says we have to add those two numbers together. 3 plus 5. 3 plus 5, probably already know in your head, is 8. We take this 8, I'll move over here, 8, and divide by 2, which will give us our final answer. 8 divided by 2, which everyone probably knows in their head, is 4. Okay, so this girl over here got the answer correctly. Okay, here's our exit slip you might have already taken. I'm going to give you a chance to solve it, so if you want to pause the video, this just gives you a chance to check over your answers before you have your assignment number 3, which is independently done. It says use the space below to show your work. Find the median of the data set. Okay, so you had to put those all in order, so it should have been 0, 1, 1, 2, 6. Okay, when you cross them off at each end, you should have gotten a middle number, which was 1. So option C should have been your answer. The second exit slip question, okay, you put them in order. 0, 3, 5, 7, sorry, ignore this extra line. You notice you have two middle numbers, 3 and 5. You add those together, 3 plus 5 is 8, divide by 2, which should have gotten your final answer, which is option E. Okay, you could rate, if you did this, how well and interesting you think this lesson was. Hopefully it was just right for everyone, but please give your honest opinion. The homework assignment here, we will not go over. It was just additional practice you could have completed by yourself. Okay. That is the end of the explanation. Remember, if you need more help, there there's a YouTube clip and there's an IXL assignment you can complete before completing your assignment number 3.